Welcome to part two. I hope you enjoyed part one. Ozzy,
Yes.
what's your top five? We're currently pound for pound. We've just spoke about that at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Disappointed that Lomachenko wasn't in your top five, Ozzy.
Yeah, look, it's debatable. It's debatable, isn't it? Yeah, you can definitely put him up there. There's ultimately five spaces for probably 10. Like I said, it's debatable. You can argue, yeah, you can probably put Bivol in there, with the
Yeah,
wins that he's had.
and Canelo. There's a good because there's a good 10, can't it? It depends what you're looking for, doesn't it, mate?
Exactly, yeah. Like I said, for me, the debatable, they're all hypothetical. Does it actually mean anything? No, it's a bit of kudos amongst some people, but I don't look at anybody because he's ranked in somebody's top 10 pound for pound at seventh, and somebody else ranks him at three. It means naff all. It doesn't pay the bills, and you can't fight for a spot in the top 10 pound for pound, can you? So yeah.
All right. Ozzy, who would you say is your fighter of the year for the males from the UK? I've gone for Maxi Hughes.
Yeah, great show. Really good show. Yeah, I'd agree with that actually. You know what? Yeah, I would really agree with that. He's had a brilliant year, hasn't he? Really, really good year. The ultimate underdog is Maxi Hughes, isn't he? Fantastic, little fighter, really, really good fighter. And what a year he's had, in terms of, that saying though, this year's been relative, I say quiet for him, but I think he boxed a couple of times last year, but it's more the way he's gone about everything. But wins over Kid Galahad, schooled Ryan Walsh, was the underdog in that Galahad fight again, and he deserves now a huge opportunity, huge opportunity. He needs that big fight because ultimately, if he keeps doing these away corner fights, he might well come unstuck. Matchroom need to get behind him and get him that big world title opportunity, or a big fight against like a Ryan Garcia or something. Hughes deserves it. Really good shout that in terms of in terms of Maxi Hughes. Really, really good shout, and hard to disagree with actually. I'm trying to think of any others. I think Sonny Edwards is
Mark
another one.
Efron.
No, Mark Efron. No. I mean, let's have it right. He beat Lennox Clark, and then he knocked over two other people that he should be doing. Let's have it right. I was disappointed that.
Though, he'd been in running, wouldn't he? He'd be a contender that you say has had a good 2022.
He's had a good 2022, but look, I mean, like in March, he banged out, Thomas Bezvoda, 12 and 18. He beat Lennox Clark, great win for the British title, Commonwealth title as well. And then he banged out, an Argentinian in a round on that Parker Joyce card, 10 and 6. So yeah, is he a fighter of the year? No. Has he had a good year for his career? Yes. Sonny Edwards would be my other guy as well. Sonny Edwards, great year again. Couple of really good wins. Tough mandatory. Didn't have it all his own way. Came through. Arguably the best fighter.
Do you think that
flyweight
don't get much kudos because of how he conducts himself outside of boxing?
I don't think so, mate. I think what it is the smaller weights just don't generate the interest.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. It's really difficult that, for the, look, we saw Roman Gonzalez, Juan Francisco Estrada 3. That did get people talking, particularly in America and like with the hardcores over here. But if you asked a load of casuals about who they are, they wouldn't have a clue. And it's the same with the smaller weights over here as well. Edwards might well be a bit more known because he is vocal on social and things like that. But one thing he has got is he talks the talk and he can walk the walk.
Listen, he's got a good skill set. We can't disagree.
He's class. He's class. He has arguably got the best skill set in the UK in terms of boxing ability. He's quality, absolutely class. He just lacks power. But the thing is, though, he's been in with big punchers and he's completely schooled them. So yeah, I'd actually sad switch. Hughes. Again, Hughes has had a great 3 years. Never mind 1 year. Same with Edwards, but I'd say actually Edwards. Good win over Mohammed Wazeem out in Dubai, and then fought a really tough mandatory in Felix Alvarado and got a really good win as well, defending his title. And again, he's the one who's calling out, the unifications, wants fellow world champions. These fights don't get made, and it seemingly they don't want anything to do with Sonny Edwards. So I'd say he's my British male fighter of the year, closely followed by Maxi Hughes. Wouldn't really put Tyson Fury up there. He's been in with two guys in White and Chisora that he should be beating. But again, has had a good career, and it's nice to see him fighting twice a year rather than once.
Yeah, well, when I were at Hobson's, I used to push all the time for Sonny Edwards against Tommy Frank. They didn't want to know that. I'm going in a different direction, Dennis would be saying, Glyn Rhodes and Tommy and all that. I said, listen, get this fight made. You know what I mean? And you can come again. Clinton Woods come again when he got beat against Dave Starr for British at bantamweight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But look, there's levels in when it comes to Sonny Edwards and Tommy Frank, and Frank is a million levels behind him. That's for sure.
Yeah, so, but when the thing comes in, and you're knocking a British title fight back in a division where there's only 27 people anyway. I think in Tommy's in Britain there were about 15 at the time. And there were only 7 available fights. And I said, well, what are we in boxing for then? If you fighters, if you're not taking a British title fight at this stage of Tommy's career, where are you heading with him?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
They got one in end eventually. They got one in end, but
yeah, you're right though with that. You are right. Yeah, I get what you mean. You are correct in that ultimately, I've always said that one loss does not define a career. You've seen, big name fighters get banged out off journeyman early in the career because they can get caught. It happens. Doesn't make you a bad fighter overnight. And, records are for DJs. It doesn't matter. And you can have several losses, but it's how you respond to them. Had, Frank taken that fight and lost, would it have ended his career? No. I think they were hoping that they could maneuver Tommy Frank to somewhat, like a world title opportunity, and it'd be a bigger fight for them. But, Frank came unstuck. And while he's now knocking around, drawing with Craig Derbyshire for a British title, Sonny Edwards is, a legit world level fighter and arguably, one of the best in the UK.
Yeah. My young fighters, Dennis McCann.
Yeah, Adam Azim, another one.
How are you gone for Adam Azim?
Yeah, Adam Azim, another one. Not put a foot wrong. Does everything in impressive fashion. Like a couple of others as well. Mark Chamberlain, another one. I like Dalton Smith, again, young fighter. Depends what what criteria we're giving, but realistically, I'd probably go with Adam Azim.
I've gone for Caroline DeBar, young female, and Natasha Jonas, female.
Yeah, I agree on the Dubois one. She looks class, by the way. From her debut, I was a bit iffy and thinking, here we go, are they talking her up a bit too much? But she's gone with Shane McGuigan, and that is a partnership which has just clicked. She's very clean in her work, and you can tell she can punch, like really dig. And I think the women's division, it's one thing it lacks is, knockouts bring excitement, and in 2-minute rounds, it's difficult because A, they might have the chance to, build the momentum to get them out of there, but B, some of them just can't crack an egg. They've just not got the power, whereas Dubois has got the power. She's been very impressive, like the look of her, and that she'll step it up next year, and it wouldn't surprise me come back end of 2023, possibly early 2024, she's going to be contesting for a world title, and it's going to take somebody very good to beat her, that's for sure. In terms of the, like standard, female fighter of the year, yeah, Jonas, one of them, or probably Terry Harper, the other, to be honest. I thought Harper was taking a risk going up to 154. Huge jump in weight, by the way. And that's my one flaw about female divisions, because they're not very deep. You've got Terry Harper, who was operating at like super feather, then jumping up to 154. It's like nigh on unheard of, really. You would not see that.
She'd be on nose at 10 for that, wouldn't she, if she were a man?
Well, mate, that is the equivalent of like Lomachenko or someone like that jumping up from when he was operating at feather and super feather, going up to fight Jamal Charlo at 154. Can you imagine that? Like, it'd be a joke. But yeah, look, she's gone up there. I thought, she went up there because she got an opportunity. Basically, I don't particularly rate Hannah Rankin. I think she was a basic champion, and again, it's owes to the depth. That Rankins lost 5 fights, and was a world champion, but she had fought some of the better females as well. In all honesty, but yeah, I would say Jonas probably in terms of more activity more than anything.
What do you make of all that then, Ozzy? That Eddie and Joe going back and forth, and Steffi Bull with these bids and all this. They were saying a high-end bin had gone in, which you'd think high-end 6 figures, 8,000-9,000. Turned out it were about 200,000. And then they increased it to 3, but then did they say they doubled it or something?
Yeah, well, look, it's all politics, that, isn't it? And you mentioned it before about the Gallagher and Hearn thing, and they've got problems. Ultimately, it should be the fighters that get put first. You manage a fighter for a reason, and if you're getting offered, ultimately, if they're the way I always look at it is that, look, if the payday is good, and Tasha Jonas is being offered like 400 grand to fight Terry Harper, I thought Jonas beat Harper first time round. So if you're getting 400k to box somebody who you think you can beat, seems a pretty fair deal to me. All the belts will be on the line. But I get there's more to it than that. It is politics. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Jonas goes. More so if they turned, that Harper fight doesn't get made. But we'll wait and see. But yeah, it's boxing, it's politics, it happens.
What I don't see is from anybody from Matchroom or Team Terry Harper, I don't see anybody saying, look, Jonas fight's not going to happen. They're adamant it never happens. So there's obviously something gone on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Something really personal's gone on. So that doesn't happen. So why aren't Team Harper saying, well, we're going to push for Katie Taylor or Chantel Cameron fight, because we fight from super feather up to light middle. Now,
yeah, I can't see that. I can't see that happening.
Why not?
I can't see her after going up to 154 and winning the world title. She'll then try and drop back down to 140. 135. There's no way she's going down to 135 again after she's been operating at 154. No chance. Will they call out potentially Jessica McCaskill, fight at 147? For the welterweight titles, possibly. But Harper and Bull won't want anything to do with Chantel Cameron. Cameron will knock her out.
Why don't we hear anything? I mean, they keep going on about rematches and this and that. I don't hear them calling out Boom Gardner.
Yeah, well, they won't. They know she'll get chinned again. Boom Gardner, won all the belts now. Close fight against Michaela Mayer. I thought she lost, actually. Incredibly close, though. Fair enough, it going either way. But yeah, they're not stupid. There's no way they'll take that unless, it's for, again, massive fight down the line. But seems Harper will be eyeing up those belts at 154. So we'll wait and see if that Jonas fight does get made. If it doesn't, ultimately, you're not going to make big dough rattling off defenses, against unknowns in the 154 division. Will she try and fight Clarissa Shields potentially? That's an opportunity. Shields is happy to move up and down the weights, 154 up to 168. Or will she drop down to 147, potentially fight Jessica McCaskill? Don't know, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah. What about your promoter at you, Ozzy? I've gone for Bricktop.
Yeah, probs actually. Yeah, he gets a rough old ride, does Frank. But I'd say, look, I won't say there's been any standout, consistently good UK shows, in all honesty. Yeah. I think all of the promoters have put out their fair share of poor quality. More so in depth, there's been, probably good fights on every card. But what there hasn't been is the depth. But one thing, Warren done 2 massive stadium fights with Tyson Fury, done well with the likes of, Liam Davis, European title fight, beat Ayanot Baluta. He's had a fairly solid year, as Frank. I think Ben Shalom and Boxer been okay as well. Again, at times, they started off the year flying. Probably tailed off towards the back end of the year. I think that showed in that last show in Bournemouth with Billum Smith. And likewise, Matchroom, again, that they have had some successful stuff as well. But again, have also put out some real poor quality. I think one of them being that, that Warrington card was naff. It wasn't good. at all, you know. And look, no promoter is going to come out and say this was a poor card. They're not going to do it.
Eddie's had a mare this year, hasn't he?
Well, look, he has, mate, but he's also, you know, like one thing he is now, he is a global promoter. Look, I'm all for, you know, giving Hearn stick when it's warranted, but what he has had, he's promoted some huge fights.
Yeah.
He's done that, you know, he's done Canelo Bivol. He's done, I think, you know, another Canelo fight earlier this year. He's done, you know, just done the Chocolatito fight. You know, he's done other big fights as well. You know, you can't criticize him for that. He has had big fights and, you know, he has had a decent year, I would say. But at the same time as well, I think his UK content has suffered from it. You know, he lost his big show with Ben and Eubank. And that was just a big fight rather than, you know, a massive show more than anything. But I get that. Main event ties up a lot of money. But yeah, I'd say that his UK content is suffering, in all honesty, you know, losing purse bids. I know he's just signed Dalton Smith to a long-term deal. And it's rare Hearn puts his fighters on contract. He very much believes that
he had to pay through nose for him, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And Sky paid big money out. So clearly he wanted Dalton Smith. And the fact that he's had to put him on a contract shows that, you know, he knows fighters are willing to move around now. Does that all to boxing on the app? Who knows? But yeah, I won't say there's been a standout promoter, in all honesty. I think, you know, all we all want to see is just good competitive shows week in, week out. They're not difficult to make. It's just an obsession with matching people against padded records, but buy you up the rankings. But yeah, you probably side with Warren, closely followed by, if it was a global thing out of those three, then obviously it'd be Hearn by a landslide. But yeah, I think domestically, probably side with Frank.
I'm going to go for manager at year, Neil Marsh.
Yeah, good shout actually. Yeah. You know what? In terms of that, it's a bit different. Look, I don't know who managers who these days. It's all a bit, you know, cloak and dagger. But one thing Neil Marsh has done is he's got opportunities for his fighters. They did both fall short in their, you know, big, you know, opportunities. Zach Parker, hand injury against John Ryder. David Avanesian, valiant effort against Terence Crawford, to be honest. And who knows what will happen with that? You know, there's a lot of problems with the gloves, handled terribly by the commissioner over there, the Omaha Commission, and it shouldn't have been allowed. And would it surprise me if that was turned into a no contest for the way what's happened with the gloves? Probably not. You know, that wouldn't happen, you know, over here. And the fact it's happened, you know, Everlast come out, said it was a dodgy product. Doesn't look good. But yeah, Marsh, one thing he does do is that he won't let politics get in the way as such. And he gets his fighters opportunities and he waits for the right time. Zach Parker will come again, disappointed the way it finished. You know, fighters have boxed on with broken hands before. I get it. You know, he's had hand issues previously, but that was your big opportunity. And you have kind of blown it as such, but they will build him back. As for Avanesian, no shame in getting beat off Terence Crawford. And there is a storyline behind it. Look, had the gloves not have been, you know, like dodgy as such, would it have changed the result? Probably not. No, it wouldn't. But again, there's no shame in losing to Terence Crawford. And Avanesian will come back. They'll probably get him in the away corner somewhere, you know, underdog. And he's always got the ability at that. Look, Crawford is elite of the elite. But, you know, at that fringe world level, Avanesian's a tough night for anybody.
Yeah. Who's your trainer at year, Ozzy?
Shane McGuigan, I think. Shane McGuigan, like him. Really like him. I like what he stands for. I think he comes across really well. And I don't just look at a trainer in necessarily in wins, you know, like, oh, they've got this win and got that win. It's the way they develop a fighter as well. And Shane McGuigan develops fighters and improves them. And, you know, he's had a fantastic year for his stable. Fantastic year in terms of, you know, and also not just judging off wins, but the fighters he's had have improved under him. Adam Azim looks quality. Caroline Dubois, you know, two fighters that we've just mentioned, you know, in Fighter of the Year type of stuff. Daniel Dubois has definitely improved since leaving Martin Bowers. Came through, you know, against that, you know, in that rocky affair with Kevin Lorena. Looked good in doing it, though. Went over to America and banged out that Trevor Bryan as well. But again, in emphatic fashion. Chris Billum-Smith, You know, a guy who turned over and wanted to win a Commonwealth title, now on the verge of fighting for a world title. Again, has without a doubt improved Billum Smith. Ellie Scotney, European champion. You know, there might be a couple of others in the gym. Apologies who I have forgot. But again, just those who I've rattled off there, he's improving them week in, week out, fight by fight. And then they're notching up these, you know, good wins as well. So I'd say, yeah, Shane McGuigan for me. I think he's the best in the country by a long way at the moment. Really like him. Like I said, puts his fighters first. And I think he is very good at what he does in terms of managing as well, taking the right opportunities at the right time, but building them as well. None of this padded record nonsense. Taking the right fights. Fighters maybe on the slide a little bit, but they still present the right test.
Do you feel that Dubois and Shane's honeymoon period's over after he got dropped 3 times?
No, not at all. No, because like I said before, that I think, you know, he ruptured his ACL. It's a terrible injury, that, you know, and the fact you're out for 8-9 months says it all, really. You know, that bad tear in the knee, you struggle to stand up off it, you know, your ligaments hold everything together, you know, and with that, I think the one thing McGuigan did show in the corner is how calm he stayed, didn't panic, settled Dubois, and Dubois actually then pulled out a really good finish. Great stoppage, touch early, but it was the way he put his shots together. Big uppercut, didn't let Lorena off the hook. The first one, he was just caught early. It happens. Remember Tyson Fury got caught off, was it Nevin Pajcic? Dropped heavy. It happens. It's heavyweight boxing. Lorena will be a nuisance for a lot of people coming through. You know, he can dig. You know, he was a decent cruiserweight as well. Let's not forget. He's not just some unknown or anything like that. By no means brilliant. It just shows Dubois is still a baby. I think, what is he, 25? You know, he might only be hitting his peak in 5 years. But no, I wouldn't say the honeymoon period is over. Dubois still got a lot to learn, but it was a gut check for him, and he did come through it.
Yeah. MC of the year, Ozzy. I've gone for David Diamante for his comeback. The guy's like Iron Man, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, mate. I don't care about that. It's somebody on a microphone who reads the result and stuff like that. As long as they get it right, I'm not bothered. But yeah, Diamante came off the bike, bad injuries, back in the ring now. Yeah, let him have it.
Who told the biggest liar 2022 in the sport of boxing, Ozzy?
Bloody hell. Take your pick. They're all liars, aren't they?
Conor Benn, I've gone for.
Yeah, well, the one thing we say about Ben is we actually don't know what has come out yet. But yeah, you can put Ben up there. Shannon Courtney's another one for me. She said she did a full camp with a ruptured ACL when she got beat off Jamie Mitchell. I'm sorry, you can't do that. You physically can't do a full camp with a ruptured ACL and then go into a fight with a ruptured ACL and do 10 rounds. It doesn't work like that. And then she's back boxing and sunning it around on a beach like 2 months later in gym. You don't recover from a torn ACL in 2 months. It's impossible. Yeah. So, yeah, Courtney up there, you know, with that, you know, silly excuse of an injury, because it's just not true. It's physically impossible if you've torn your ACL. But, yeah, Eggy, Conor Benn, blaming the eggs. Ultimately, yeah, probably going to say biggest lie of the year without a doubt.
Goonie of the year, Ozzy.
Oh, Ben's got to be up there for Goonie of the year without a doubt. Again, just the nonsense that came out of it. Yeah, I mean, look, the way it's been handled, and you know, I don't know what they're expecting, forfeiting his license, so the British Boxing Board of Control can't sanction him at the moment. Yeah, Conor Benn yet again.
Yeah. What next for the Board of Control, Ozzy, after their role in the Ben Gate and Drug Gate and all that?
Oh, I don't know. They need things to change. I would say that the one thing about the British Boxing Board of Control is they are one of the better ones out there in terms of things like safety, etc. You know, the sanctions that they put on shows, needing ambulances, needing that immediate medical attention. They're very good at stuff like that. But one thing, you know, I do question them on is, you know, like, they're favourable to some promoters, you know, the sanctions that they do, the way that they handle stuff, you know. The Ben Eubank thing, by all accounts, is the board knew a lot about it a long time before it broke. What are they doing? Are they just sitting on it hoping it comes out after it? That's not a good look. But boxing is not regulated by anybody. So ultimately, you can do what you want. Just proves that if you had a regulator and you had a strict set of rules that all of them had to abide by, it would help. But, that prime example in the Crawford fight with Avanesyan, that's one commission, the way they handled it. They're inexperienced, the way they handled the glove problem. It's terrible. Yeah. So, I would say, boxing probably needs a regulator to nip things in line. The board, Robert Smith, should start listening. He likes to take the mick out of boxing fans. They always complain, when they've had a few drinks and stuff like that. Well, there's some incredibly knowledgeable people in the sport of boxing who've been involved, around gyms, managers, trainers, matchmakers, and they know a hell of a lot of stuff. And Robert Smith should be not as quick to jump on their back and dismiss them, because actually a lot of the things they do suggest would improve the sport in a long, long way. Yeah.
Carl Greaves, what do you think to his last 12 months?
Busy man is Carl. Speak to him quite a bit, but does a lot of matchmaking for Boxer. Got his own shows. Carl Greaves Promotions does shows in Leicester, Nottingham, places like that. Manages a lot of fighters as well. Respect to Lee Connolly, who's just hung up his gloves. Was managed by Carl Greaves for all, I think, 99 of his fights. Real road warrior. Will be a loss to the sport without a doubt. But boxing without the likes of Carl Greaves, Steve Wood, Steve Goodwin, Wood Claps, Pat Barrett in there as well. Without them, it simply wouldn't function. They are the life of small old boxing, and you lose them. These opportunities for a lot of the fighters just don't exist.
Yeah. Marshall Shields 2. Savannah Marshall's activated the rematch clause, and she's not bothered if it's in America. Do you see that fight happening again?
I hope not, because it was a complete waste of time. It wasn't close. Disappointed in the performance of Savannah Marshall. Talked a big game. Didn't ultimately, I know it's easier said than done, but, just struggled in general, really. I really thought she had a chance, to say the least. But, disappointing. And this is my gripe with rematch clauses. That should not happen. Rematch clauses are there and should only be activated, if it's an incredibly close fight, or it was, a poor decision, something like that. It wasn't a close fight. It wasn't a poor decision. And Marshall should just go away and work her way back up. I get why she's done it, really, because it's the biggest money fight for her. But does it sell again? Not at the moment.
Yeah. Drug testing, Aussie, in the UK, what's the answer? Is it use UCAD or just, what's the other one, VADA?
Well, VADA are worldwide. Now, the issue is that Hearn made a big point about how the UCAD does not recognise VADA. Now, VADA is basically they are just stricter in terms of they've got one list and it's all in competition 365 days a year. With VADA, they should be either, if they're not recognised by people under the sanctioning body, it's pointless. As proven in this Ben thing, that Hearn was saying, well, the UCAD, the British Boxing Board of Control can't do anything. They don't recognise VADA. Well, why pay for it then? Why go to the efforts of paying for something that the governing body does not recognise? It's pointless. It doesn't matter both fighters want it. It's like doing something, it doesn't matter if we do it anyway. It's not recognised. Therefore, what's the point? Just get rid of it. Now, I get why VADA are there. They're a lot stricter, and they ultimately rumbled Conor Benn on these tests. UCAD struggle. Ultimately, if you've got a bit of clout about you, got money behind you, whenever do you see them follow through, with strict bans on people? You don't. Dillian White's B sample, where did that ever go? We heard nothing of it. He barely got, I don't even think he got a ban. It came out, he claimed that he basically he was putting some tablets in for his dogs in their food, and it got contaminated with something that he had, and that's how he popped. I mean, come on.
So that'll be something what Ben's going to come out with, something like that.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Who knows what they're going to come out with, but UCAD have not got the financial backing to go the distance. This is why you'll see low-level fighters, non-league footballers, rugby league players, but of a lower level, getting punished because they've not got the financial backing to contest it. They've just not got it. Yeah. So it's difficult. Something needs to change. I'm a big believer of just having one governing body, or like say, for example, VARDA sit above everybody and they're like your main thing. So you're like FIFA in football, and then you've got like, the associations underneath. So you could have UK anti-doping who represent the UK, but they answer to VARDA. There's one list, not one list in one country, one list in another. In competition, out of competition, remove that. If it's on the banned list, it should be banned, and do it that way, and have everybody singing off the same hymn sheet. There's too much confusion at the moment. And if your sanctioning body does not recognise VARDA, then they should not be used. Because as proven in this, as soon as they popped Ben for it, the promotional outfit wanted to dismiss VARDA despite them paying for it. Well, what's the point in paying for it if you're not going to use it? And the reason, by the way, Joshua Boazzi, Jean Pascal didn't happen is because Pascal apparently wouldn't sign up for VARDA, even though he did. So Hearn pulled the fight. Well, hang on. VARDA then popped your fighter in a fight later down the line, and you now want to ignore their results. So it doesn't make any sense, but it is a problem. And that's why I'm a big believer, we need like a regulator, because they could get a grip on all of this.
Well, it's now 5.5 months since the first drug test in July.
Yeah, exactly.
And still we haven't got an explanation, have we? We haven't even seen the B sample from the first failure, the man, the second.
Yeah, nothing. Exactly. And who knows what's going to come out, but we keep hearing a lot of talk, don't we? Who knows what's going to happen, but it'll come out when it comes out, and I'll look forward to seeing what it says.
I will. Tank Davis versus who from the UK? Who can get Tank a fight from UK?
What weight are we putting Tank at?
147.
147. He's not a 147.
Yeah, I know that, but let's just say he steps up a weight from what he's at now. 140, 147. What do you think?
No one really.
Can we see him fighting Conor Benn at 147?
He can do, mate, but he'll blitz Conor Benn. He'll absolutely annihilate him. Yeah, that's a fight that Ben won't be taking. Says it all. No, Tank's class. Tank is class.
Would you like to see that fight?
No, not at all. No interest.
Better get paid.
He'd get annihilated. There's levels, and Tank is legit world level.
Yeah. Spence Crawford. Why is it not happening, Ozzy?
Politics again, mate. Politics. It's a joke. It's a nuisance, and by all accounts, Crawford's reached out to the team again to make the fight happen. Let's wait and see. But it's the biggest bugbear in boxing that, you want to see the best fight the best, and it doesn't happen because of, financial issues, promotional outfits, managers, etc. We just want to see the best fight the best, and you will attract more fans by doing that. The better the fights you put on, the bigger the fights, more people will watch. Yeah. We all want to see it, and just fingers crossed it can happen next year.
Do you think that the public, well, for example, could you imagine the public's reaction to Ray Leonard and Duran not fighting at 147?
Well, it'd be similar, wouldn't it? I guess not fighting, did you say? Yeah, it'd be similar, wouldn't it? Again, the frustration, the uproar. Yeah. People want to see the best fight the best, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Mick Hennessy, what next for him? He's gone missing.
Well, yeah, I don't even know what he is doing now. I don't think he's got that Channel 5 deal anymore. No. Not sure what fighters he's got under his books. Shame, really, because Hennessy was putting on some good fights last year, and then Channel 5 have given that contract to Wasserman now, who I'm not a fan of at all. They're faffing around. Boxing. Yeah, they're faffing around with stupid things like that. Putting on garbage shows on Channel 5. They talk about all these big viewing figures and stuff. But let's have it right.
Mick Hennessy were putting fights on, good fights, wasn't he?
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, don't know what Hennessy's doing, but ultimately, someone like Hennessy needs TV, and if you've not got it, you're always going to struggle.
Yeah. Bean, have you heard anything the latest on Bean, apart from him being in Priory?
No, yeah, just that he's taking a break away from everything due to health reasons. So, yeah, look, whatever you think of him, you don't wish, like any ill health on him or out like that. So, yeah.
How could we talk about Bean banter?
No, yeah, but fingers crossed he sorts his problems out. He's clearly got personal issues. They are meant for him. And, yeah, fingers crossed he makes a recovery from whatever's wrong with him.
I watched Joshua Usyk 2 last night because when I'm fed up, I always put Joshua Usyk 2 on. That or Spencer Fearon's greatest hits, against Dave Walker, and some of the stuff Beam were coming out with, I kind of miss his incredible mercurial cacophony.
Right, yeah.
And all things like that. And there's the power.
Oh, he loves it, doesn't he? He loves it.
Power,
Yeah.
There's the power. He's sitting down on his shots now, man. Yui's come back. What is going on with Yui?
He's a waste of time, mate. That's what he is. He's
That's
a waste of time. He's not exciting to watch. He had a little spell in his career when he went back down to domestic level, blitzed out the likes of Sam Sexton, and I thought, right, it's clicked with him. He knows what he wants to do. It's clicked. And yeah, it's just gone backwards again. He's dipped his hard. He's boxed once now in 2 years. That was when he stopped Christian Hammer. He just needs to, he needs to sort himself out. I know he claimed he had problems with long COVID. Should have been fighting Michael Hunter twice, fell through. He just needs to either get fit and actually discover his love for the sport or call it quits. Because ultimately, if you ask people, are you interested in Hughie Fury? I think the majority will say no.
Yeah, well, I am, but I've had people asking me if he's going to fight again the last few days. And I'm like, well, I hope so.
Can't see it. Well, he probably will do, but yeah, I honestly couldn't care about him at the moment because again, he's just that irrelevant. Like who you're not bothered, are you?
I think he'll take a year out, and just do something else and see how.
He already has taken a year out. He's not boxed for 12 months.
Yeah, well, he might take another 6 month out then.
We'll see, won't we? We'll see.
Yeah, okay. Eddie spouting up about BT Sport pay-per-view numbers again, like he'd know about all them.
Yeah, again, you always know when Hearn is rattled because he starts throwing out insults and criticizing other shows, promoters, people, etc. And that's his dig at people, revealing figures that how does he know? Do we know? Does he know at all? Probably not. But it is what it is. He always claimed he wouldn't get bitter, but the one thing he has done is got bitter.
Yeah, he has gone bitter, to be fair, because he's not having it all his own way, and I think that's a good thing, and he should be excited. I mean, he keeps saying he loves competition and that, and that he's relentless. He says he's relentless. Well, let's see how relentless you are. Yeah. Relentless is when you start with no TV deal, no exclusive TV deal. It's when you start like Dennis did in his garage. That's when you start, and you go. He went from his garage to Pine Grove Club with Clinton Woods' debut to Atten in Vegas, didn't he? So that Eddie's not done that yet, has he? Because he's had a leg up, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a bit of a yeah, it's one of them. Like I say, he's rattled when he gets personal, and that's exactly what he's done. And yeah, he made the big decision to go to the zone and things like that. And what I say, it's backfired. It has allowed him to go, more global, but I would say there's certainly not as much interest and hype without him. That's for sure.
Yeah. You want to click on number 3, Oz?
Yep.
Cheers.